Welcome to the Connected Caroline show. This is a big one for me. I have Sheri Salata here, who you will learn all about, but she has single-handedly helped guide me in my personal transformation journey since last January, which would be January 2021, when I attended her Design Your Life course, which is a free 5-day course. And of course, when I heard that she was the former executive producer of Oprah, I went, okay, I must check this out. First of all, let me welcome you to the Connected
Hi.
Caroline show. Hi,
Hi.
Sheri.
It's so good to see you.
So good to see you.
So
Thank
you
you.
went to the 5-day free challenge.
I did the 5-day
I
free.
love doing those.
Is okay. So that's different than the Design Your Life course, which we definitely want to talk about, or is
The
it the same
course, you
thing?
mean the 12-week course?
Well, the 5-day
The 5-day challenge. Yes, it's a challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
So I do a couple different ones. I usually do it in January and I do another one in June.
and guess what, everybody? I do them all.
It's good.
Because
It's a good refresher.
It's a great refresher, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I learned about Sheri, and as a publicist, my obviously my dream was always, maybe not obviously, to work at the Oprah show. And when OWN came to LA, I was like, okay, I'm going to put my hat in the ring to work there, but it just didn't work out with my geographic location and the age of my kids and blah, 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 blah. So the universe brought me to Ms. Sheri Salata anyway, years later, to participate in all of her workshops and all of her amazing media company. And I would love Sheri to talk about why she started her own personal development empire, which it is. And what was that little flame inside of you that said, I'm going to do this instead of work at Oprah?
Well, listen, I mean, the show had been over for 5 years. So we had completed that run. We had been everybody's hands together working at OWN to help it get on its feet and turned around. Um, and, I had spent right out of college, I went right to work working for other people. Never for a second would I have considered working for myself. I mean, listen, my parents would have said, "Are you nuts? You need a paycheck. Don't even think about working for yourself." So there would have been no emotional support for that. And, the truth is, I had so much to learn in terms of being of service to a company or another person. All the great bosses I had, I learned, the good ones I learned from, the bad ones I learned from, all that experience, that rich experience. And of course, I was with Oprah for almost 21 years. So that was a mega school, graduate school, really learning.
No
And
doubt.
I
No
did well.
doubt.
I did very well.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
So, I learned so much. I did well. I had so much success. It changed my life. It gave me a spiritual life. It gave me financial success. I could do things for my family and my friends that I never even dreamed I would be able to do. I mean, it was all the good stuff. But I'd never had that experience of looking at things through my own specific mission and my own lens. And, I remember when I moved to LA and OWN was in a pretty good place. And I was meeting with these young people in their late 20s who were talking about their entrepreneurial lives. And they were doing a little groaning about this and that, and it's so much time and blah, blah, blah. And I'd start to ask them questions. I'd be like, well, that sounds pretty good. You set your own calendar. That sounds pretty good. You decide when you're going to work. That sounds pretty good. You set your own vision. And I was like, okay. And how much are you making? Tell me, you can tell me. And I'm like, what? So I don't know. I began to think that, my next act might be where I not only do a reckoning in my own life and what I've created so far, but create an integrated life where my work and my mission and my own growth and expansion is all enmeshed and entangled so that, till my very last breath, I feel like I'm on purpose and on my path of transformation.
Right, because we come from a parents, mothers, generationally, who were not, that was not their, they were not taught that. That wasn't even in their like orb of
No.
like of being able to have that. uh
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional. It's, they just weren't.
There was no path to that, no
They
vision
were
to that. Yeah.
right. And if
We're
you
raised by
did, you
people
were
who were virtually untrained.
right. And then if you were somebody back then in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, who had a career, it got more common, but there was this thing. Well, actually, okay, so Sheri also wrote this best-selling book called The Beautiful No. And there's a chapter in here, my epic fail at work-life balance.
Yeah.
And there's something you say here. Maybe there's a different way to see it. Maybe we can have one life. So that's what women were doing back then, where the women's lib movement was work life, or there was this like charge to flip the homemaker thing on its face, on a dime. But it was out of balance. And then you talk about the whole topic of
I don't believe in
balance,
it.
and you
That's
don't believe in
basically
it.
what happened. I don't even believe in it
Right.
because yes, I mean, I think what happened was women didn't want to necessarily have it assumed that they were going to be in charge of all domestic issues and that's it, and unpaid to boot. And now, since then, it's become almost an economic necessity for both people in a committed partnership who are raising a family together to work. And so what happened then, yes, women moved out into careers out, outside the home in the world. But this expectation was they would still have dinner on the table every night, take care of the kids. It
What is
was,
that, Angele, whatever it was
yes,
called,
I
that
can
ad?
bring home the
Bring home the
bacon,
bacon, fry it up
fry
in
it
a
up. I
pan.
think that was was that Jean Nate?
I think it was Angele.
Angele?
Ingenue.
Angela.
Anyway, long story short, yeah, that's just a
Yeah.
fantasy.
But here's what, and so here's how it came up for me. And thank you. That was so sweet of you to put my memoir up, The Beautiful No. Um, it I love that cover.
I
That's the paperback version. That's nice too.
I love it. It's
Um,
great. Audio is fantastic, by the way.
I would, oh, that was fun to record. That was
Yeah.
really fun. Um, I would be asked to speak at panels because I was the executive producer of the Oprah show. And of course, people like that, we want you to come and speak at something. And I'd be like, ugh, because I know, first of all, hard for me to find the time to do it. But if I do it, I know what's going to happen. The first question is, how do you balance work and life? And, I was working about
7
10,000
million
hours a
hours a
week.
week.
And I'm like, I have no human children. I'm not married. And I have 2 English bulldogs and they have a nanny. So it's like, it would inspire a lot of shame. I'd go into a shame spiral,
Mm.
thinking about how, oh God, I was wrong. I was failing. And just one day I realized that isn't really what I want now. I have the opportunity of a lifetime in this job that people would pluck an eyeball out for. So why shouldn't I just go for the gusto? And there's tons of things that I would do differently than I did then, but it was my dream. I mean, that's what I really wanted. And what I realized is even the concept of balance is about being out of balance because you only know you're in balance if you've been out of balance. And it's too tricky of a concept. It's a loaded concept that makes a large percentage of women feel like failures and feel bad about themselves. And the way I manage my life now is I don't talk about things, I don't language things in a way that makes me feel bad about myself.
I want to get to that, rewriting your story.
Yes.
When we talk about your workshops. Yeah, in
Yes.
the book, you say one life, integrated, connected, whole.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Not like,
Simple,
you know how
simple and right on there.
you have the canisters on your kitchen counter and there's flour and sugar. I don't want to run my life like that in separate containers. I want to try to flow. I want to be in
Mhm.
flow. Like right now we're doing a podcast. It's a beautiful day here in Napa Valley. When we're done, I'm going to go take a stroll through my garden and grab some lettuce for dinner. And I might, fold some clothes because I was doing laundry earlier. And I also had a big meeting and my puppy's going to need a walk. So, but it's just a flow. It just feels like my life is integrated. And there's nothing, I don't have that moment of going, I'm dancing on the head of a pin, trying to meet a standard that I don't even want to meet.
Right. Because in your workshops, we learn or are reminded, if we've learned it before, that it's one life and the time is now, not a someday, correct?
Yes.
And so I want you to talk about your workshops. I've been to all of them,
Mhm.
as I said. When the free one comes, that 5-day one comes, I do it over and over. I've done it twice, I think. I love it because it's different. Because I did it last January, and then I joined your amazing transformational course called The Course.
Yep.
Um, I am
And what
part of
remind me, what cohort are you in?
cohort
One?
one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
cohort one. Oh, my very
So we
first.
were the first group that
Oh, I'm
was
always
your,
gonna love you guys. Super special for that.
we feel the same way.
Yeah.
And then you started the support system because you understand that, okay, it's all fine and dandy to do a course or a workshop.
Yeah. Then what?
And then what? How do you keep it going? So that's what um, the support system is all about, is to
Yeah.
keep it going. And
Yeah.
um, it's phenomenal. And let me tell you, audience, Sheri is in it. She's she's there. She's like participates. She is not like sending, you know, it's not like some what's the autonomous learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
she
No. I
you
know.
are you Sheri is vulnerable and talking about her stuff as much as everybody else that's in this amazing group of people. So why don't we talk about your courses
Yeah.
and your workshops and maybe just give a little download on those.
Well, here's the truth. I'm talking about, and I'm workshopping what I need to do myself.
Yeah.
And then I say, do you want to come with? So, and I always, and my second mission with my company and with my work in the world, um, is I want everybody to have a seat at the table. So I make sure I offer enough free stuff and free content. So if you don't have a nickel yet, because you haven't manifested it yet, but you're ready for a new life, you have a place to go. And then, as you want to dive deeper, I've just been inspired along the way to add offerings. So I last year, cohort one, that's what we call it, cohort one, for the course, which is my 12-week digital program. Um, it really is almost a five-step system that I used myself and I write about in my memoir. So I use my life to help you find the answers, unlock the secrets to your own life. And I look at it like this. How much time do you think you got? Get to it already. Get to it already. And the other thing I continue to find is that we're lonely. We're lonely. Like this kind of deep soul stirring conversation is challenging to find. around the neighborhood, if you're even leaving your house anymore. So how can we connect with people who want to have the same conversation? And how can we expand our own consciousness, expand the possibilities for our lives, get unstuck, dream a new dream for this second act? However many days I have left, I want to live them in the highest sense of possibility, the most love, the most joy, the most success, I want to get the juice out of it. And that means I have to hunker down and do the work, and not just unconsciously go from year to year, not even knowing like, oh, it's a new year, really. I want to mark my time. So that really is, the course is the beginning of adding ceremony and ritual and practice to your life, and taking a look at what's kept you stuck, and stepping up and getting ready to release that, and dreaming a new dream, like really figuring it out, right?
Right. So Sheri has these Sherryisms, and it's like, I want some of that. And so, when somebody shares something that's like a win or something really great that's happened, you're like, I want some of that. I want that in my life. And you go for it. And Sheri also talks about a lot about doing esteemable practices. And that could be anything from lighting a candle to flowers to doing turn down service in the morning, things that make you feel good and that you can do for yourself every single day.
Yep. 5 deep breaths, hands on your heart.
Breathing, lots of
Yes.
breathing.
Changes your entire nervous system. But it's what will you do consistently over time? Because it's over time that creates this foundation of stability. So when things happen in your life, and things will happen, this is a very human, unpredictable experience. You're solid. You're solid.
Totally. Through the support system, actually, I'm not, because I'm in everything, so I'm not even sure which one it came through.
I know. Okay. So yeah. So you take the course, and also and then I started, because I was like, what am I going to do with everybody who's taken this course, who's so fired up and on the path of transformation. So last May, I launched a private membership group called The Support System. There's a couple workshops a month. There is a weekly gathering. It is a social network off of Facebook, off of public. It's a private social network that really is devoted. I like to think of it, I think Courtney calls it, my brand manager, it's scroll with a soul. And so it's uplifting, it's uplifting. And it just reminds you, what do I say I want? What do I say I want? And allows you to connect with other people who are doing the same.
Oh,
So what were you going to
absolutely.
say? You were going to say you learned something.
Well, just back to connecting with people.
Yeah.
So I have there's a gal here. I live in Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
We found each other through Suzanne Burke. We found each other
I love
through
her.
you. And
Love Suzanne.
she and I do the like Saturday mornings when you have like our monthly cohort one, or I guess it's just the support system.
You mean the course alumni?
Course alumni. Sorry.
Wow.
And she and I get together and have coffee and do it together. So
Yes.
not only, I mean, this really is about connecting with like-minded people. This is about people that want some of that and want to have like a very tangible personal development journey with, like Sheri said, she's workshopping her own life.
Yeah.
So we're all workshopping our lives together. It's really, really magical. And I wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't for taking the course, because I had a YouTube channel and I was just like, yeah, I'm doing it, okay, I want to monetize it. Well, I mean, a year later, I'm like, a whole different mindset as to what I want out of it. And that is 100% because of the work I've done with the Sheri Salata Co. Everything. I love it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. And the fact that you have offerings for people of every socioeconomic background, it's really available for everyone. And
Gotta do that.
it's amazing.
Do
It's
that.
wonderful. Okay, so now you've got this empire. You were a podcaster. You had a
Yeah.
successful podcast.
Good.
You have this best-selling book, The Beautiful No. What's so tell me about this title, The Beautiful No.
Oh,
Tell the audience really what the fundamental story is behind that.
yeah. Well, it's now a fundamental spiritual principle in my life. And you'll recognize it when I tell you the story that it's how I got the job uh, in 1995 with the Oprah Winfrey Show. Um, I was an advertising agency producer. So I produced television commercials by that time. And I was up for a big job. And I had taken a gamble and left my job to go kind of freelance. And it turned out I wasn't good at that because that means you have to go drum up business.
Yeah.
That I didn't like to do that so much. So I was out of money. And I was like, shit, I'm out of money. Now I don't have a job. I don't have benefits. Ugh. So I was up for a big job for a senior producer job at a big fancy advertising agency. Went and did the interview, thought I had hit it out of the park. He darn near hired me right in the room. And he said, you're exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to pay you a ton of money. Your benefits are going to blow your eyeballs out. So, I mean, I went home and celebrated. I met my friends at the corner pub for a big, huge champagne toast. And of course, days go by, don't hear from him. I don't hear from him. And at the end of the next week, I get a form letter from the HR department saying, sorry, we're not hiring at this time. So I'm about as low as I've ever been because I had it. And I was like, oh, I can't even believe it. Like it seemed impossible. And so I probably ate a bag of chips, didn't wash my hair for days, was slogging around, and
Woe is me.
woe is me. And I get this message on my answering machine that says, hey, this is so and so from the Oprah Winfrey Show. You applied here a long time ago. We were cleaning out a closet and we found your resume and your little VHS of your commercials. Will you come in and freelance for us? I'm like, what? And so I did, and I got hired. They hired me full time. And it was a couple years later when I realized, oh my God, had I gotten that big fancy job, would I have quit that job to go take a chance at the Oprah Show? No way.
Mm-hmm.
My soul knew what it was doing. My soul knew. My soul knew because my soul knew I was going to be telling you this story all these years later. Like, even as I cried and I was like, I can't believe I didn't get the job. I don't know what happened. And my friends cried for me because everybody was concerned. Like, what is she doing? What's going to happen? And so it all happened. So I could write about it in my book and tell you that story. And what I realized is that was the most beautiful no I'd ever gotten, because that no made me available for the big thing, for the big, 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 wide open door that would be the path that would change my life in more ways than I can count. So,
And that's a great story. And that's a principle that
yeah.
Everyone in your community lives by, is that those no's mean that there's something bigger and better coming along. And it's just,
Yeah. The trick
it's
is,
not the end of the world. And it's actually
yes.
exciting because, wow, there's another door that's going to open on. I don't even know what it is yet.
And stop and don't waste your time in the depression and the sorrow and the why. Just like be human for a minute, then dry your tears and say, I'm going to find out why this is my beautiful no.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to share a little bit about the people that you have come on as our special guests
In the membership.
In the membership.
Yeah.
Martha Beck, Deepak Chopra, Kathy Heller. I mean, amazing. I basically, when I tell people about it, I say, imagine the Oprah show, but it's your own little private group, and it's Sheri and her friends. It's like amazing. You have this like connection with people that, for me, it was just like watching it on TV, and it's just it was.
I know.
Now it's
And
like in my I'm in the inner circle, but it's not a circle that everybody's invited to come into the circle.
everybody's invited to
I
the
love
inner
it.
circle. And I get to go and discover new people that you might not have met yet, who have really strong messages, or I can invite some of my favorites from my former life that I know have so many gems to offer.
Another Sherryism, by the way, gems.
Gems, your gems, your gems, your wounds that have turned into wisdom. Those are your
Yep.
gems, my friends. Yeah, so I get to, in the membership, I get to still produce. I still get to produce and think about it
Mm.
and come up with a theme and, bring in, book some guests. And then in some of the other things, I am I'm just guiding. I'm just guiding a group on a path that I need to walk as much as anybody. And what I love so much is, like, I think about when you and I were together with cohort 1 for those 12 weeks, which, because every time I was like, oh my God, I love this so much. I can't even believe I get to do this.
And explain it. This was your very first
It's my very first course.
workshop
Yes.
course.
And
Not workshop, but her first
my very first
official course.
And and I I had to overcome some coming out from behind the scenes issues. And like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You don't have to do anything. But I pushed through it, and I was like, God, I love this so much. I love it because when I get off a workshop from one of my courses, I have gotten just as much, if not more, out of it than any single person who attended. And the rest of my day, or the rest of my night, or the rest of my week after one of those experiences is, I'm uplifted, I'm elevated, I feel like I've evolved, I understand something more clearly, and I've reminded myself what kind of life you want to live, who you want to be, how do you want to manage this life experience, what do you want for yourself, what are your dreams. I stay on the topics that help me stay in the now and stay conscious about how I'm running my show.
I, everything's it just feels so good, hearing you say these things, because it is, when you give back, everyone, it's that fundamental principle, again, another principle. When you're giving back, it's the person isn't getting it. You're the one who's actually
Mm,
receiving the joy and some of that
yeah.
you're getting, as you're sharing your wisdom and things
For
that you've
sure.
learned. And that's wonderful.
And you're experiencing the same as the star of your own podcast show. It's the same thing. You're sending a certain energy and vibration out into the world, and that's going to meet you. It's going to elevate your own life. And we're here working, but we're having the only conversation that matters.
Right. Right.
Reminding ourselves of,
What we want to do with our life every day. So Sheri Salata, um, you have done so much in the last year and a half. You really have, you know, accomplished a great deal with your workshops and your all of your courses. What's what do you got burning for what's next for
what's
you?
next.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few things. Um, and I had to wait until it was inspired, because I was getting a lot of input from other people about, now you need to do this now, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see what I need to do. And so I was finally inspired to do a smaller group, high level thing, which starts very soon, called the Life Lab, which I think it's going to be a year-long journey. And I think it's going to change my life drastically. I'm really, really, really excited about that. It's like the ultimate mentorship situation.
I
Um,
applied for it.
yes, yes. Are you going to do it?
Yes. Yes.
Good,
Oh, yes,
good.
because for anyone, I'm going to interject really quick because it's one of these things that for the cohort one, this was like a blind faith of, putting the money down to participate in something that, you didn't have track record or it didn't really have, the testimonials and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And some people are like, yeah, sure, they pay people to, say those nice things about these different courses. So the thing is that every single thing you do, I am going to be a part of if I can,
I love that.
because
That's the highest compliment.
my life is transformed.
Yeah.
My friends, families, lives,
Yeah.
like I share so much of what I get out of it. It's
Yeah.
like we just pay it forward. People that you've had on that you've introduced to our group, such as Ellen Wong, the breathwork
Yeah.
specialist extraordinaire. I've interviewed her on my podcast.
So good.
So I mean, there's so much give and share, and it's
There's so
amazing.
much.
There's so much. This is the direction of, for me, uh, where I'm going for my next chapter. Is to
Yeah.
hook on with the Sheri Salata wagon.
Listen, because it's fun, because we have a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
we have we continue to prove to ourselves that these principles work, that when we are really focused and we are committed to this conversation, that we can change the trajectory of our lives, and it can be more joyful and more fun and more successful, and all the things. It can be all the things. So yeah, so that's the Life Lab. And that you have, there's only, it is I only am taking in people who have taken the 3-month course, because I know those people want to be with people who can have the conversation at the highest level, speak the same language. So that's why I did that. And I'm very, very, I'm just so excited about that. And the other thing I really like doing is um, bringing more people into the support system. I told you, when I'm out in the world of free, like my free Facebook community, which I love that too. People are so lonely. They're
Mm,
just so isolated. They're
mhm.
so disconnected, even if they're surrounded by people. And you and I know from our experience, you've known since January, that it is game changing. It changes everything when you have a safe place that you can really expand your soul and your heart and your dreams and your life. I mean, it is um I really think that these things that really have been divinely inspired, for sure, are the best things I've ever produced, for sure. And I just keep trying to get myself out of the way and let inspiration come, so we can all continue to grow.
Well, it's happening and it's working, and I'm so grateful that you went this direction and for this chapter of your life. So wrapping up, is there anything else you want to tell the audience? Anything?
Well, listen, yes, I'm going to leave you with this thought, that we're living in a time of change and disruption. And my personal theory is that it is a quantum shift that's going to happen over time between the old patriarchy that served for its time, and it's long since needed to be over. It served for like the industrial revolution, but it's long since needed to have shifted and morphed into the divine feminine. And that's why we feel this crazy business that seems to be going on. So in this change, there is a part that what we can all do is welcome it. Fall in love with change.
Mm.
Like, begin to welcome it. The more you resist it, the more uncomfortable and unpleasant your life experience will be. So, like, I look at change now because I was a person like, I don't want any changes. I don't want people changing in my life. I don't want any changes. And how short-sighted that was of me. Change is evolution.
Yeah.
Change is the divine blowing its breath on things. Change is going to happen no matter what. So the more you can get yourself on board and excited about it, and kind of like you're in the front row at some spectacular event, and you're going to have your eagle eyes on what's going to happen. How's it going to work? I mean, what new things are going to be possible? If you would have told me that I would love this Zoom thing, I would have said, no way. I'm never going to say those words. I will tell you now, this Zoom thing is the most connective, fabulous thing ever.
I
You know
agree.
why? Because we get to have this conversation. We wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have it otherwise.
Absolutely. I say that every day.
You'd
I
have to
wouldn't have it, and
you'd
I
have to
wouldn't.
get on a plane, put your
Exactly.
clothes on and your makeup on, and go to a big conference, and that's the only time
Yep.
we would have these workshops and conversations. Now we can have it 3, 4, 5 times a day. I think it's a miracle.
It is a miracle.
Love change.
Technology miracle. I love
Embrace
it.
change. Be
Embrace.
excited about change.
Give me some of that.
Give me, I want some of that. I want some of that. And then do your little practices. Your little walk around the block, drink your filtered water, hands on your heart, 5 deep breaths. So you're resilient and stable. So when the change comes, you can be like, all right, it looks bad right now, but I think it's going to be okay. That's what I want to say.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful, Sheri. Good pearls of wisdom for my my audience here. So my very last question is, what is your favorite thing in the world right now, like that you want the audience to know about? Is it a candle or a place or a food or something that you just are all jazzed about and you just can't get enough of?
Well, how about this? I've got lots of favorite things, a million things.
Yeah.
But here is my new book club pick.
Oh, yeah.
The Inner Path to Wealth by my friend Deepak. And I just interviewed him about it a couple days ago, and I chose it as our book club's selection in the support system, so we can really dive deep for the next 7 weeks and really get the juice out of that. But that's what I want you to know about. I want you to know that this work that you and I are talking about is the dream work of life. It's what gets your engine running, gets you excited and enthusiastic, and keeps you from just being like a retired old dust ball, wondering, looking at the clock, wondering how much time you're going to have left on the earth. That's not the way to live. The way to live is to be juicy and alive with new information, new insights, new possibilities, saying, what else?
What else? I love it. You took my word. So I'll say juicy. This is so juicy. It's so great. Sheri Salata, I am so thankful and grateful that you came to visit us here at Connected Caroline today. And of course, all of Sheri's information and all of the workshop links and everything will be in the notes sections. And there will be the video will be on YouTube at Connected Caroline, and then on your favorite podcast player on the audio. Thank you so much. I love you. I'm grateful for you and your energy and your gifts to the world. It's really, I feel fortunate that the universe made our paths cross finally.
Me too.
Definitely.
Me too. I am honored to walk this path with you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, this is Caroline with Connected Caroline. Make it a giving day.